All right. Hi, everyone. My name is Jenny Chafin. I head up our North American marketing here at Linnworks, and I've been in the e-commerce space for about 8 years now, both on the seller side as well as the software provider side. And recently, I've just had the pleasure of listening to Donna, Adam, and Callum just speak to the state of e-commerce, where their various companies are headed, and I just felt like we needed to share it with the general market as well as our mutual merchants. So without further ado, I'm going to let each of them introduce themselves to you, their backgrounds as well as, just their various companies. So Callum, starting with you.
Cool, thanks very much, Jenny. Great to be in this session and having this conversation. So I'm Callum, I am the CEO of Linnworks. I myself have spent some time running an e-commerce business in the past, but now find myself on the service provider side and delivering software to the market. So Linnworks is a commerce automation platform. So we're a cloud-based SaaS product, and essentially what we do is we help brands and retailers bring total commerce control to the center of their organization. So what I mean by that is essentially the world of commerce is fragmenting. The way that consumers, both in the sort of B2C space, but also buyers in the B2B world buy is changing. You can buy on more and more platforms and more than ever before, but equally the way that we then service customers pre-sale and post-sale, it's also diversifying. So there's a huge amount of fragmentation in the market and lots of challenges for brands and retailers to overcome. And our platform ultimately serves to centralize all the complexities and the operations of an e-commerce business in one dashboard, in one environment, such that our customers, they can grow more effectively, they can automate process, drive down their cost base so they can scale effectively and ultimately be in control of their business, make better decisions through data. So yeah, that's kind of brief background on me and on Linnworks.
Oh, how about Adam?
Sure, everyone. So my name is Adam Morris. I am the CEO here at Redstage. So I'm responsible for running Redstage inside of our parent company, Fulcrum. I too have been in the e-commerce space pretty much my entire professional career, and I've been involved in a number of startups in the space. I've been with Redstage since 2008 at this point. And so Redstage is a e-commerce consulting, transformation, and systems integration company. We're really here. We focus a lot on the B2B space, especially in STEM fields. So we're here trying to lead the pack in terms of B2B transformation, B2B innovation, and we're creating B2B's digital leaders. So we generally work with larger organizations that have the have the reach and really want to transform and build the digital arm of their business to be an extension of their strategy.
Hey, Donna, all yours.
Yeah, thanks, Jerry. So excited to be here. I am Dana Kumar Sami, the CEO of Fulcrum Digital. And Fulcrum has been in the business for the last 20 plus years. And we started with the one vision to enable and transform our customers' business into a digital. And we help customers to digitally transform, like giving a better and seamless experience to them. In the last 20 years, we've been involved in transforming many businesses, small, mid-size, and large-scale businesses, and digitally transform their business processes and enable new technology and engaged in many technology platform, and also enable them to adapt new business processes and also create the new business new line of businesses. And I've been in the company for the last 20 plus. In my professional careers, I've been more than 30 plus years of experience in working on many technology transformation and business transformation projects.
Yeah, thanks, guys. So as I was listening to all of you talk the other day, I heard a lot of words thrown out in terms of, where you see e-commerce heading or just commerce as a whole heading. So Callum, I'm going to start with you again. Can you explain just a bit about Linnworks' approach to total and effortless commerce and how we as Linnworks got there?
Sure. Yeah. I think our core conviction around where we see the world of commerce moving, I think there's a lot of big trends at play, such as D2C, or we see the strengthening of marketplaces. But one trend that we think is super important is this idea of what we're calling the rise of the effortless economy. Again, going back to this idea that the buyer just expects commerce to happen on their terms, increasingly frictionless, increasingly close to them. And so really for us, we see this as a major theme and something that all brands and retailers need to be thinking about. Is like, my customers might not be showing up in my store anymore. They might not come to my website. Like, they could be shopping on Amazon or eBay, but they might be on social channels. Or in the B2B world, they might want to be, they might want to be purchasing on B2B marketplaces. But I think the trajectory of the market, if we look sort of over the past 30 years, commerce has been all about removing friction for the buyer. And in doing so, that creates challenges for sellers. But I think that really is the key thing to figure out, is how do we serve our customers really well in the effortless economy? How do we make commerce happen on their terms at the point of sale, but also everything that's wrapped around the experience as a whole? And so just to add to that, then Linnworks, again, our thinking is then, well, how do we help brands and retailers solve that problem? How do we help them thrive in that world through our software?
Right. Yeah, Adam, you said something actually very similar the other day too, just where Redstage also sees commerce, and there's a couple of trends that you brought up. Can you kind of go through some of those?
Yeah, I think there's a couple of concepts at play, right? And especially when working with large organizations, B2B or direct to consumer, the stage and tone has really been set in e-commerce by Amazon, right? And we talk about this to death, but when we're talking about a digital experience, we don't just talk about consumers, but just buyers in general are expecting this sort of D2C frictionless type process, regardless of if they're buying a truck full of oil drums, or if they're buying a truck full of shoes, or if they're buying a cupcake, right? So Amazon sets the tone, and Amazon is promising to the world, hey, in the near future, you're going to push one button and you're going to have a drone send this to your house in an hour, right? And whether we like it or not, that is setting the tone, and the rest of the industry is going to have to keep up, right? So the trend is going into what we see, especially inside of large organizations, is that agility to meet the customer where they want to be, to meet their customer where they want to be, is increasingly challenging. And it's a bit of a push and pull between an entrepreneurial type environment in an e-commerce operation inside the large organization, where they need to be agile and iterative and meet their customer needs, versus sometimes stable practices, processes, and systems, right, that generally don't move very quickly. So that push and pull is happening very frequently in order to meet this kind of quickly evolving space that we call e-commerce.
Yeah, I completely agree. It's all about, the customer journey and where they're heading. Donna, probably one of the most technical people on this panel, just wanted to see from your perspective, how do you see, where does Fulcrum sit? Where do you think the industry needs to head, especially around the customer experience piece?
Sure. The Fulcrum today is a platform and digital transformation company. What we have seen in the last 20 years, the many core businesses transform themselves. Earlier, e-commerce is one part of it, like in a core business like we operate today with payments, financial services, healthcare, food management, higher education, insurance. But it used to be like a more of a one of a kind. Like today, e-commerce is the integral part of the core businesses. That's a one big change and shift that we have seen, and moving from like one line of business to a core business. So that kind of like change the whole equations. The whole dynamic changes, like from the peripheral, it should become a center of like your transactions. Then the whole model changes. For example, if you take insurance today, until probably a few years ago, it's pretty much like an agent-driven model, or you go through like insurance sold by person by person. But today, it's everything goes through the direct-to-consumer. Everybody, like irrespective of life insurance and PNC or anything, people look at it from how do I reach to like my customer digitally. That's become a core part of a business. And the second one is the interesting trend is how do we give a seamless experience irrespective of how the prospects or a customer coming in. How do you make your buying experience better? More than so that is where everything revolves around. You have so many underlying enterprise systems. They all developed over a period of last 10, 15, 20 years, and then it's meant for certain type of activities and how the business process works. Suddenly you add a e-commerce on top of it, seamless experience and frictionless experience. So everything you have only 3 seconds or 4 seconds response time, decision making. You have to go handle all the exceptions. You need to handle all the business processes. Everything needs to come in that umbrella, and then it kind of changes the whole equation inside the large organization. That's a big trend that we are seeing. So that means easy to deploy, easy to integrate, ability like openness, API driven economy, because we won't be able to build a one monolithic solutions and make it a 3 seconds response back to the customer. No, the collection of all the system has to come together and create a one seamless experience for the buyers. I mean, any transaction for that matter. I won't say buyers. It's any transaction between buyers and sellers. So that's a big trend that we are seeing.
Gotcha. Yeah, Callum, Adam, any comments on the speed of deployment? Anything any softwares that you guys are seeing or different pieces of the market that you guys are seeing that really needs that seamless integration, the deployment, the fast deployment?
Yeah, I think it's got to be everywhere really in terms of the solutions that you're buying. Certainly for us at Linnworks, the principles around our thinking are definitely those three things. Like, how do we go into an organization and offer flexibility? Many organizations, they've got legacy technology, systems that aren't going to be ripped out quickly. So how do we offer flexibility in the platform that allows a really complementary kind of relationship between our platform and say the existing ERP? Super important. If we want to keep organizations moving quickly. Again, ease of integration. How do you integrate ERP, warehouse management systems, potentially legacy shopping carts, all these different systems in the organization? They need to integrate smoothly, quickly, and it needs to happen fast. It needs to be easy deployment. We don't want long cycles for deployment. The market is moving quickly. It feels, I'm sure for many, the great commerce acceleration is happening now. It wasn't 3 years ago. It's not going to be happening in 3 years' time. It's in this moment. And so organizations need that agility in terms of the flexibility, ease of integration, speed of deployment. And so for us, certainly the thinking and how we're developing our platform is to meet those three principles. And I think it's got to be the way that any kind of platform solution is operating. Agility in the enterprise is crucial in a market like the one that we're in.
And just to piggyback off that, one of the things that we're seeing too is companies have to make sort of a decision of how do they treat their digital arm. Is it a separate business unit that, let's say, buys from the larger business unit, or is it really just another channel? Is it an extension of their strategy, right? And we see people make these decisions all the time, and a lot of times they're making them for the wrong reasons, right? They're letting technology limitations. So we need to create a whole separate group for this because we use a homegrown ERP, or we just spent the past 2 years implementing SAP, or these reasons, and we can't add a level of complexity to it. So here, go operate on your own and figure out what to do with that, right? So the technology can be dictating the business strategy, which can be dangerous, right? We like to think about the digital channel is just that, is a channel. It's another way that you're communicating your business strategy, whether you're doing it through a marketplace, whether you're doing it through a website, whether you're doing it through social media, however you're doing it. It's just a different channel of communications for a customer that prefers or happens to be in that channel at that particular time. So it is a big discussion about the difference between having that agility. How do we accomplish the business goal, the business objective, and the strategy? How does technology support that? And there are many areas where we have to make decisions on technology that can help us be more agile.
And I just to add to that point, I think certainly something that we've seen over this last year in particular is definitely the urgency around bringing commerce, the e-commerce, far more central in the organization. Many, I think, enterprises looked at e-commerce as something, okay, we kind of need to tick that box and have something there, but it wasn't a significant channel for them, so it always kind of worked on the side. I think it's just, the pandemic has just forced organizations to reevaluate and say, we need to bring this centrally. Like maybe our bricks and mortar revenues have just dried up, and suddenly this comes to the center of the organization. But with that, it's figuring out, well, how do we then integrate the rest of the organization into that? So it's definitely a really interesting time and super challenging to figure that one out.
Yeah.
And Callan, to your point, sorry, Donna, for interrupting, but to your point, Callan, in the past month, we've heard two, some of the largest companies on the planet say to us, I've been on a call where they said, well, we should have been doing this in the past 5 years, but here we are today. Like both pretty much verbatim, and we got that in the same week. So we're seeing the exact same thing.
Yeah.
I think to add to what Adam mentioned, the pandemic is like a catalyst for many transformation. People wanted to do last 5 years, 10 years, to transform their business. That's one. And the other thing is, even the established businesses, they have a strategy and plan to transform or completely redefine the market. They plan to do it in next 8 years or 10 years or 5 years. You take the case of the digital currency, digital economy, because that's the key for the commerce as well. So if you really look at it, even 70% or 80% of the population in certain countries, they don't have access to the bank and the digital currencies. Obviously, that will have an impact on the commerce. These are the things they plan to do it in the next 8 years or 10 years, make it cashless economy and things like that. But this is just kind of the 8 years of transformation has happened in 8 months. So today some countries in the world, the adoption is shot up from 5% to 70%. So that is also going to fuel the growth. The way we see it, every organization wants to retain the revenue growth. They want to bring the operational efficiency. That means how do I deliver it faster and better and cheaper fashion, so that maintain the EBITDAs. And also they want to stay relevant with their customers. So the innovation plays a major role. And then all these things to make it happen, the commerce is not just only with the B2C, with the selling and buying to your end customer. It's also part of the integral part of your core businesses. The B2B, Adam talked about the B2B, is another big shift that is happening. It is not your legacy system sitting over there. You send your order through faxes and emails and Excel sheet. Is not anymore. It is the technology is definitely getting into the inter-commerce between companies and between suppliers and the OEMs and different manufacturers. So, and then also the manufacturers also looking at the different ways to generate more revenue and opportunities. They directly started going to the consumer too. So we are seeing a big shift is happening inside the organizations as well.
Yeah, I think that's definitely true. We've definitely seen a lot of consolidation in the space across the board, whether it's people moving D2C or back to B2B or just whatever it is that is helping them scale their business or opening up new channels for them. So I guess that brings me to the point of, why is it that Redstage, Fulcrum, and Linnworks has decided to work together? All of us have kind of our own opinions, as well as just where we see the market heading. So why maybe starting with you, Callum, why have we decided to work together, and where do you see just the 3 different companies and all the various aspects that we sit on? Why are we combining together?
Sure. Brilliant question. I think fundamentally from the Linnworks side, we have really high conviction around both of these organizations and just feel excited to work together with them because of their experience and their quality. But then beyond that, I think that fundamentally when we operate together, without sounding cliche, we just bring more to our customers and our shared customers. I think firstly, through the buying cycle, I think it's important, from my perspective, certainly, that working with great partners like Fulcrum, like Redstage, who can help our customers or buyers make really good decisions around which software they're buying. Like Linnworks might not be the right fit for every organization, for example, but working with experts who understand the technology landscape and can help customers make really good purchasing decisions feels super important. And then from the buying phase through to the delivery phase, again, working with experts and partners who can make sure that those using our platform get maximum value from the platform. They don't just use, get minimal access to it. They unlock the true value, drive ROI in terms of the investment that they make with Linnworks. And then I guess just finally on top of that, once you're on the platform, it's like all the services that Fulcrum, that Redgate can bring to really drive growth in these organizations. We want to see our customers fly, and both of these businesses, we're confident we'll be able to really drive and outsized returns for our customers by working with them. So it feels like a really exciting partnership, really timely with all that's going on in the world, and just a really good fit of skills that we can all bring to the table.
Yeah, Donna, any thoughts? I know we talked about it very briefly the other day, but an IMS and OMS solution, where does that really sit in your tech stack, especially since you have such a wide variety of different types of merchants that you guys serve?
Sure. We are very excited about the partnership. There are a couple of reasons. Fulcrum has been engaging with large-scale digital transformation. That means we look at it holistically, the roadmap. How do we transform their entire business or developing a new business? So there are multiple components involved. As one of the things is, for many different systems that is like specialized in doing certain things. Like what we really liked about Linnworks is like openness and the ability to integrate with the various different underlying enterprise systems when you're going for a full-blown digital transformation. So there is room for these type of the software, easy to deploy, it's so open, it can integrate easily with the other systems. That's one. And the second one is Fulcrum brings a global scaling, the ability to deploy some solutions faster, better, able to integrate many different internal enterprise systems. And then combined with Redstage, they bring the commerce expertise, so we bring the global scaling and integration, big picture, digital transformation. And Redstage brings the in-depth, commerce experience, and then a platform like Linnworks brings the specialty in terms of openness and the ability to integrate with the different enterprise systems. So it's kind of we see this combination will help our customers also deploy some of the solutions faster and better.
Yeah, Adam, on your end, I know you guys deal with, a lot of digital commerce platforms and just various ways that you guys are kind of seeing customers try to scale and grow with different systems. So any comments on your end of where you see this relationship helping your merchants, or where you really see your merchants really benefiting?
Yeah, I mean, Callum and Donna really covered, a lot of the broader picture here. We kind of hit the points of agility at scale and functionality. Kind of the right tool for the job. But I think just a little bit more specifically, we see there are areas where it especially larger enterprise, it's very difficult for them to move. It's very difficult for them to test, try things, because the implications can be large from a technology and cost perspective and personnel perspective. So, for instance, being able to stand up, to be able to have something that can help them stand up marketplaces, to be able to test a new warehousing model, new logistics model, to be able to, test new, so new product information, new product data. There are various different aspects that Linnworks covers that enables that agility that can be plugged into existing systems to help us, move and attack the market in different ways. And I think that's really important. I think that especially in large organizations gets lost many times. That ability gets lost many times, and we end up talking about our digital transformation roadmap and how you'd be amazed at how slow people are planning on. We know that Donna said rightly that we've had 8 years of transformation in 8 months, right? Well, the transformation roadmaps that we're seeing are not reflecting. The brainstorming is reflecting that, but the roadmap is not reflecting that. And in order to actually make that, that catch up, that create that agility, we need options. We need options for our customers to be able to take that.
I also add to one more point. The Linnworks is a cloud native, like it's a SaaS platform. So it's the API, open API. It's also it's interesting to have the ability to connect. And also there we have a Fulcrum One business platform. Besides bringing the scalability for our customer, there's a platform that we own, and then we are able to even connect. There is an opportunity over there as well. So when we are going and building a specific custom solutions for our customers, some of them their business model is so unique, so they need leverage custom solutions where we are leveraging Fulcrum One platform. So that's also an open API service driven platform. So we are seeing some more other opportunities also to leverage the Linnworks APIs.
Yeah, completely agree with that. It's all about being able to customize to where each merchant's trying to scale, right? And yeah, I agree. I'm really excited about this partnership personally. So before I close it out, I think just wanted to open up the floor to you guys. Is there, if you were the merchant, is there anything that you would want to leave them with, a word of advice? I know earlier Adam had mentioned the Amazon effect. Anything there that you feel like any pieces of advice you want to give our merchants listening?
Yeah, I can start if I'd like. I would say that the biggest piece of advice that we're trying to give to merchants and organizations is that the digital channel is an extension of the business, right? It is not it's not a business unit that we create and generally, right? This is generally speaking. It's not a business unit that we create, stand on its own, and see how much money it can make, right? The customers are expecting at this point to be able to interact with an organization and feel the full strategy and value prop of that organization through multiple channels, right? It's not just through phone, email, letters, or physical store or whatever it is. If you have a USP, if you have a value proposition to a customer, we need to be thinking about how that value proposition shines just as brightly through any digital channel that a customer will interact with as it will with any other mode of communication or any other mode of doing business. And that's that we have a long way to go for most large businesses before we get there, especially in B2B, especially in older industries that have long-term relationships, long-term contracts, have taken really that leeway of not having to change, not having to be motivated. And this past year, I think we can see what the dangers of are not, forget about changing demographics and preferences and average age of B2B buyers reducing and all of those. There's all kinds of stats that we can back it up, but we just saw firsthand what happens when companies are forced to work digitally as their main mode of communication, which ultimately you can see the trend is happening, right? It's happening, and now all of a sudden people just started getting used to that and are really going to expect that. So that's the thing that I would leave with merchants is if your value proposition is not oozing through all of the channels that you have which to communicate to your customers, then that's where you need to start.
Yeah, from my perspective, irrespective of size, the customer expects the same, better and great user experience. We can say I'm small or big or medium. So customer expects a seamless experience irrespective of your size. Number one. Then this also they expect the same or better service. And we can't say that, oh, I'm small. No, I'm big, or my division is new. So that is one of the other important piece. Because the playing field is leveled. The Amazon comes in, US just start as a small B2C e-commerce site, doesn't matter. The people expect the similar type of experience, in terms of your customer experience, in terms of returns, in terms of reaching the customer representatives. Everything is the field is like leveled right now. So that's one of my advice to them, step up, use the right technology, use the right platform so that they can able to scale and give a better response.
Yeah, and I think sort of closing thought from my side would just be around sort of seeing this moment as a real opportunity. I think it's hugely challenging, and there's a lot of adversity, and organizations are trying to figure out how they adapt to this new normal. But really, there's a huge opportunity for businesses to act now. And I think my encouragement to folks would be, it may be challenging and tough, but to lean into the opportunity. And I think you can have make decisions now that will have a huge impact on your organization for many years to come. So it feels like an exciting time. And I think, when it feels tough, it's just trying to remind yourself, actually, this is a really significant moment, and to not kind of overlook the kind of just the significance of that right now. But certainly an exciting time, and chance to have a really big impact.
Yeah, what I'm hearing from all you guys is very similar. It's that, yeah, there's a huge opportunity out there. I like what you said, Donna, that the playing field has definitely leveled out across the board. So whether you're an SMB merchant or you're, one of the enterprise guys who've been around for a while, there's lots of opportunity out there to shift. And I think that's why I'm really excited about this partnership, is we really want to be there, the three of us, to really help scale merchants where they need to be or want to be, and just provide the right options there for them, just kind of be that advisor in the space for them. So yeah, I'll close out the session, but I really appreciate all of your times. It's really hard to get three really busy CEOs on a call, so I really do appreciate it, and I appreciate all the advice that you gave to our merchants. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Jenny. Great.
Yeah, it was a pleasure. It's a pleasure collaborating with you guys.